What's up, guys? I'm about to head to work as a hospital physio, and it's something that I just want to quickly share with you guys this morning before I head out the car and head into the hospital. It's that I love my job, and being a physio is something that I don't take for granted, and it's a privileged position to go into the hospital and help people out and allow them to trust me to help them. That's the thing. These patients, they are so vulnerable in the hospital. They are in pain. They are mentally not in the best space, and they are just feeling like, their world's falling apart sometimes. And it's people in healthcare, doctors, nurses, and physios, myself, even admin staff, kitchen staff, cleaners. We are able to help these patients just to feel a little bit better about themselves and help them to feel a little bit more human. And it's something that I really, really enjoy doing every single time I go into the hospital. It's a privileged position, and it's something that I don't wish upon anybody, but sometimes it is necessary to go into the hospital when you are really unwell and get things checked up, and hopefully get out of the hospital a lot better than what you were coming in. But I just want to quickly talk about my position as a physio in the hospital, and how sometimes, especially in my younger days when I first started as a trainee, as a graduate physiotherapist, right? So I've basically just been in the hospital system pretty much my whole physio career, and it's heading towards its 8th year. I believe it's 8th year. I kind of lost count. And it's that emotional toll that you take home with you sometimes, because you just put your heart and soul out there into helping patients. And sometimes you really empathize with the patient's situation and what they are going through. And you can't help it sometimes, but think about it. And sometimes these things you kind of take home with you. And it's something that a lot of my senior physios and a lot of my mentors have advised me to, when you go to work, you don't really want to be bringing these types of things home, because it's going to affect your everyday life. Because when you are feeling, let's say you're feeling sad, or you feel sorry for someone because of the tough times that they are going through, if you bring this home, and I have done this in the past, if you bring it home, it's going to affect your relationship with other people. It's going to affect the relationship that you have with yourself. You're not going to be energetic. You're not going to feel really good. And that's going to, create a space where you really don't want to do much. You don't want to exercise. You don't want to go out with your friends. You just feel really, really sad. And this is the reality of things. I really wish it wasn't like this, but unfortunately it is. It is. And I'm getting a lot better with this now. I'm getting a lot better with the sense that I don't bring work back to home anymore, back to home life. What happens at work, I leave it at work. Even though, yes, it is quite difficult sometimes when patients are really going through a tough time and they open up to you and they communicate to you about their problems. And it's hard not to empathize with them and not to, wish that they were in a better place. But that's just how it is, isn't it? It's just something that empathetic people really have trouble with. And a lot of healthcare workers have lots of empathy. I think that's the reason why a lot of people go into healthcare, because they really want to make a difference in other people's lives and help people out in the best way that they can. But unfortunately, I have seen so many of my colleagues and my friends who work in healthcare, not even in healthcare, even in other industries, corporates, construction, whatever it is. When you bring, the drama and the unnecessary side of things of work back home, it really affects you as a person. It really affects you every single day. And it really affects what goes on in your life. And it's something that, especially new people entering the workforce, or it doesn't even have to be the workforce. It can be just anything that you do, right? If you bring anything that you do back home, it's going to affect your everyday life if it's not in a good way. But then again, if it is something that is really good and it's really motivating, let's say it gives you pleasure, it gives you a sense of a sense of achievement and stuff like that. If you bring that home, then that's going to obviously lift up your spirit, and it's going to affect the relationship with other people, with your friends, with your family in a good way. So it's like a catch-22. It depends on how it makes your day. And sometimes I have those days at the hospital. Sometimes when you work really hard with a patient for a really long time, and you see the obstacles that they have overcome, and then when they leave the hospital in a better condition and they have achieved their goals and they are super excited, that gets you going, that gets me going, and I get super excited about that. And that makes me feel really happy, and I go home, I feel good about myself, and that affects all the things that happens in my life. So in a way, it really depends on what happens at work. But essentially what I want to share with you guys is that, healthcare, it's a great job. It's a great industry to work in, and it gives you a really great perspective on life, right? It really makes you feel grateful for what you have, grateful for having a body that is not in pain, that is able to move freely, we're not restricted to medications. It really gives you a really deep understanding of how important it is to look after yourself. And that is something that I have taken aboard since I've started my physiotherapy career. So working in healthcare gives you a lot of good insights and a lot of good perspective, but then there's also that big downside of bringing that emotional baggage home, which is something that I've really struggled, especially in my early days. Not so much anymore nowadays, but I still struggle with that when I go into the hospital and I find unexpected things happen to patients and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a tough one. But hopefully today's a good day at the hospital, and let's go and help out some people. I'll catch you guys next time. Take care.